What's up, Spartan Nation? It's Jacob Katzanik here back for another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. It is now basketball season, folks. I'm sure some people have been awaiting that news for probably a couple of weeks now with how the football season has gone. But hey, there's been 2 exhibition games for the Michigan State men's basketball team, and now they're about to go do the real thing. Season opener against Colgate. Again, you'll get your toothpaste jokes off, I'm sure, some of you fans, because why wouldn't you? They're called Colgate. But nonetheless, it's an interesting matchup for a season opener. I'm sure people kind of remember the James Madison upset a few years ago, season opener, a lot of preseason hype, and you kind of fall flat on your face against a mid-major. James Madison's a bit better than Colgate is, probably. I know JMU was kind of considered like a top 100 team nationally. Like they were like a quality mid-major, true like higher portion mid-major. They were 63rd in KenPom going into that one, so it was kind of one of those, okay, it's kind of like the equivalent of losing to like that Indiana loss last year. Like it's not good. Like you can kind of stomach it. It's just maybe the name makes it like, oh, James Madison, like we shouldn't be losing to them. But Colgate, they enter 205th in the country on KenPom. They are, but still, an interesting mid-major because before they went 4-19 last year, I believe, missed the NCAA tournament, but they made the NCAA tournament the 4 years prior to that and 5 of the 6 years prior to that. So this is a good mid-major team and kind of the exact type of game Izzo tends to put on the schedule. There's not many just terrible mid-major. Like he has a real reason to put pretty much every team on the schedule that he has on there. Whether it's to, get his team ready for Big Ten play, the grind the Big Ten schedule. Like that's why you put Arkansas, you play the Champions Classic, you play Duke, you play North Carolina. That's why you play those teams to, 1, bolster your resume come March, and 2, just get you ready for when you get to that grind of, oh boy, we have to go play Purdue, and then we have to go play Indiana, and then we got to play Michigan, stuff like that. Or in Illinois, because Big Ten looks good this year. Purdue is number 1, Purdue's the number 1 team in the country. Entering the preseason poll, if I had to vote, I think I would put them number 1. I'd maybe debate it between them and Houston, but nonetheless, it's tough. We'll see. Basketball season, but still 2 exhibition games for Michigan State. Kind of sketchy, both of them. Bowling Green was kind of closer than you'd like it to be. UConn, they lose. They only lose by 7, but it felt like more than that, really, because they were down by more than 7 pretty much the entire game. But still, it's an exhibition game. They don't count. Izzo's using lineups I don't think he's going to use in the Colgate or any game that counts moving forward. So we'll see. I'm going to be very interested to see who's going to be starting at the 2 spot. Who's the 2 guard for this team today. They've been rolling out Fears at the 1. That's not going to change. It's been Trey Fort at the 2 during the 2 exhibition games, and then basically the 3 guys after it's going to be Carr, Kohler, and Cooper. The only spot I see changing right now is the 2 spot because Kerr shaky. But it's more necessarily like Jordan Scott gave him some good run. He's more of a forward. That's what he's listed as on the roster, but he could maybe have those guard skills to maybe play the 2. Or maybe the more likely guy to step forward would be Trey Fort. I think that's why they got Trey Fort out of the portal, to be kind of one of the team's top scorers as the 2 guard, because he can shoot, he can score on multiple levels. So, but mostly the 3-point shot. That's why they went and got him, because they need 3-point shooting. So I know Izzo was kind of railing on Fort's lack of defense during practices. That sort of seemed like a message like, hey, you don't just walk in here and get a starting spot, You gotta be able to play defense for me before I actually give you starting minutes. So we'll see what Izzo does. But this team needs offense. Defense is never really too much of a concern for Michigan State basketball. But during that UConn game, there wasn't a true alpha scorer. In fairness, you're playing UConn. How many people are actually going to look like a true alpha scorer against UConn? Because they play really good defense, and they're also UConn. They've won 2 of the last 3 titles. It's Dan Hurley. probably the best coach in college basketball right now. So, nevertheless, that's still a valid concern about this team. Cohen Carr is certainly going to be playing aggressive, but it seemed like UConn was guarding him fairly well. Jeremy Fears was their leading scorer in that UConn exhibition, but pretty much all of it was at the free throw line. That's another thing. It's hard to get into a scoring state. When I did the math, there was a foul called every 43 seconds in that game. That's tough. There was really no flow to that basketball game at all. It took I think that game took 2.5 hours. It took forever because of all the foul calls there was and people standing around waiting for the ball to be inbounded or for free throws to go up. So, still, Colgate though, I think they've lost 2 of their 3 scorers from last year. I'm not going to worry about breaking them down too much because, you're playing a mid-major. It's the focus on how do you look, But to avoid an upset, it's just you got to get out to an early lead, just kind of break their spirit as quickly as possible. Because when these upsets happen, how does it usually go? The underdog gets out to an early lead and then just kind of sits on the bus and just tries to, just keep the other team at arm's length. That's kind of what happened. They got to overtime against JMU a few years ago, but nevertheless, they were playing from behind for a large portion of that game, if I remember it correctly. But you just got to get out to an early lead, try to get an early run, get the crowd going, because I'm sure crowd will be bumping. Everyone, again, a lot of people are going to be turning to basketball for some wins out of the athletic department right now in terms of the major sports. And, yeah, I'm sure Izzone always brings it. Breslin crowd always brings it. Should be a good atmosphere. I can't wait to watch it. Personally, from there, I'll be there at the Breslin Center on Monday. But still, nevertheless, it's a new dawn. It's, 31st season of Tom Izzo. He's been doing this longer than I've been alive, and I'm old enough to now cover the team, which is still crazy to think about personally. And the tournament streak is a bit older than me as well. I think it's 27? I think it's 27, maybe technically 28. It's either 26, 27, technically 28. If you count the COVID year, which, yeah, obviously they were going to make the tournament that year. But as far as a prediction goes, I throw final scores out there for football games. It's a little easier to do than basketball just because there's so many more scoring. Football, there's basically that's a football number, 31 points. Okay, that makes sense. Basketball, it could be literally anything basically from 55 and up because because there's so many different combinations, obviously. But as far as a score goes, Ken Palm predicts it at 84-63. I kind of get the feeling it's going to be a little closer than that, just because it's the first game. It's early November. They're still just trying to work things out, lineup wise. And Colgate, obviously, they can treat this like it's their Super Bowl, because it kind of is. They're the only other team. They play 2 other major teams and some good ones. They play Illinois and Florida on the road, but it's their season opener here. They're trying to go out and get a big win. That's what mid-majors are always going to do in these scenarios. But as far as this game goes, I'm going to think, again, I have concerns about the offense. I think it'll be fine, but you're not going to see 90 points in this game. I think you're probably looking at, let's call it 76. Let's do 76-60. That's what I think it's going to be. 76-60. That's going to be my prediction. I think people will feel fine about the team. The first real big game is going to be Saturday. Next Saturday. No football game. Team's on bye. And Michigan State, it's going to be a busy day on campus. You have Penn State hockey. Gavin McKenna, probably going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NHL draft. Coming in with Penn State. Big Ten opener for the Spartans there. And then right after that, it's going to be basketball game against Arkansas. I can't remember what Arkansas is ranked, but they're ranked. I'm 99% sure. So that's going to be a big one. Coach Cal against Tom Izzo. That'll be a real fun one as well. Nevertheless, though, thank you for listening to this. Whether you're listening on YouTube, watching it, or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you very much for taking your time out of your day to listen to me talk. Continue to keep checking back here and get all of our written content at Michigan State Spartans on SI and SpartanNation.com. And I will see you guys around.